Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Money Talk with Skylar Fleming. So what if you see something at the store and you're like, I really want to buy it? What do? Well, your initial reaction could be to buy it. But what if you do that all the time? What if you buy things as soon as you see them and whenever you want? What kind of impact does this have on your financial life if you're spending money on anything you see as soon as you see it, whenever you want it? Well, let's be talking about impulse spending today in this episode. Let's also talk about how it impacts your finances. The money talking points from today's episode are, how can I avoid impulse spending? And second, what is the thing that I'm okay with spending a little extra money on? Keep those two questions in mind as we go through today's episode. But with all that, let's get right into today's episode. You know, we don't talk about money enough. It's a topic that gets ignored for some reason, even though it plays a role in everyone's day-to-day life. Well, this issue is what brought Money Talk with Skylar Fleming to reality. I know you're probably busy and don't have the time to research and learn about all things that go into personal finance, but that's where this podcast, Money Talk with Skylar Fleming, comes into play. I'm your host, Skylar Fleming, and I'm here to do the research and learn all the extra stuff about personal finance for you. The goal is to simply get us talking about money, so let's get talking. All right. Well, I think it should be self-explanatory that impulse spending is not good. And impulse spending is when you buy something because you suddenly or impulsively want it or because it's on sale. See my air quotes. Sales are something you should be cautious of because they are just simply a marketing technique to get people to buy more stuff. Buy one, get one free sales are to get you to buy something in the first place that you didn't need because you get a second one free that you also don't need. Sales are a way to say, hey, that looks intriguing because I'm getting a discount, or that thing used to be that expensive. Wow, that's so expensive. Now it's $1 less. Look at that sale. Sales wouldn't happen if they caused places to lose money. Be aware of that. Places aren't putting things on sale so that you make out good. It's so that they still make more money, because when they have sales, they're making more money because people are trying to buy more things because they're on sale. Sales are certainly something you should be taking advantage of. I don't want to say avoid all sale, only ever pay full price, full honest pricing. You can use sales to your advantage, but be aware that they're a marketing technique to get people to buy more stuff. But let's talk about how impulse spending and buying things as soon as you see them, as soon as you want them. Let's talk about how that can impact your life. So impulse spending, or buying something because you really want it, can be very harmful to your life. You can find yourself very quickly in credit card debt or with a negative checking account because you're buying things as soon as you see them, as soon as you want them. So be aware of that. But stores will be very quick to help you out when it comes to financing your purchases. Of course they will, because that's where they really make the money, on the interest that you're paying them in order to only pay $20 a month. For all the things you're buying from them. Store credit cards are the worst. Avoid them no matter what. There's no discount, promotion, or anything that really should be getting you to sign up for a store credit card. The stores, they set up their products to make them money. So when you're also paying interest on top of that, they love it. The products you're buying and then financing through the store credit cards or through some store financing plan, that is icing on the cake for them. They love when you finance products. So make sure you're avoiding that at all costs, because that's just going to continue to drive up how much debt you have and make it harder and harder. And you're going to feel that burden more and more on your back as you're spending up more credit card debt, especially store credit card debt. Learning how to avoid impulse spending can lead to a much larger savings rate and make it much easier for you to hit your savings goals. It can make it easier as well to avoid clutter and avoid collecting more stuff than you need or garbage. Have you ever found yourself finding something that you purchased maybe not that long ago, but you've never used? That can be a side effect of impulse spending. That clutter and collecting of stuff that you don't really need is also a side effect of impulse spending. And that's how it can impact your life. It can drive you into credit card debt. It can drive you into in-store credit card debt. In-store financing options are terrible. They only make the stores more money. And then it can also clutter up your life and you begin to consume more than you ever need to consume. So how do you get over this problem, I would say, of impulse spending? How do you implement steps into your life to be more aware of it and be more cautious towards it? Let's talk about that next. All right, I have a few ideas about how you can implement some tips to help you avoid impulse spending. Let's start with one of my favorite things, the 24-hour rule. I've mentioned this before, but I think it's essential to implement to avoid impulse spending and to help you control your spending. So let's say you see something you really want. Let me think of an example here. My AirPods right here. So say you really want a pair of AirPods. You walk into the Apple store on Black Friday, or you go to their website on Cyber Monday, and you see that they're on sale, or they're giving you some sort of weird discount gift card thing. You're like, oh, look, a sale on those AirPods. I really want them. Wait 24 hours. You have to sleep on it. Give yourself 24 hours before you make the purchase. That way you see if you really still want it a day later, or if it was just an impulsive, hey, that would be really nice to have. And guess what? If the sale isn't there a day later, you don't need it. If you're really considering it that much because this is the first day you've considered buying it and you're ready to make the purchase now because it's on sale and the sale won't be there in 24 hours, don't purchase it. If you've been eyeing purchasing something and over that time period now it's on sale, but the sale lasts less than 24 hours, I would say you're okay because you've been considering it for more than 24 hours. So make sure you set a minimum 24-hour mark of what you actually need. Give yourself a chance to sleep on your purchases before you make them. So the next tip is to set limits for yourself when you're going shopping. If you come prepared with a plan, it's a lot harder to deviate from it and impulse shop. If you go into a store unprepared, then it's going to be really tricky to avoid spending money on those things that you don't really need. I think about this when I used to go to Best Buy a lot when I was younger. The good news is that I didn't have a lot of money at that time, so I couldn't really buy whatever I wanted. But there would often be things that I didn't really need that I suddenly impulsively wanted because of the cool new tech that was coming out, or the cool new gadget that I could use, or this one thing that I could maybe use, but yeah, that would probably be helpful for me. Those impulsive things that I wanted were a whole lot easier to just buy when I didn't have a plan. If I were to go into Best Buy today, it would be because I know that there is something in there that I need or want. And I know that it's the only thing I'm going to buy. I'm walking in there, getting the item, walking to the cash register, and getting out of there because I have a plan in place. That helps you avoid impulse spending. It's a whole lot easier. It's like going grocery shopping with or without a grocery list, hungry or not hungry. When you go in prepared and well planned to grocery shop, it's a whole lot easier and you save a whole lot of money. The same goes for any sort of shopping. So make sure to consider the 24-hour rule and coming prepared to the store. But I have a couple questions, and I also want to talk about the money talking points next. So the first question I want to cover is, how can I avoid impulse spending? Well, I hope that you take this money talking point and go discuss it with a friend or your accountability partner, someone who's helping you stay on track with your budget, with your financial goals, or any sort of financial strategies or situations you find yourself in. Talk about this question, how can I avoid impulse spending, with someone else, and see what kind of tips they have. Maybe they have something even better than the 24-hour rule, like the 48-hour rule or something like that. Maybe they have a tip that's really helped them avoid impulse spending. But develop a plan and commit it to someone else so that they can help you stick to it. If you're really having a hard time with that, I really want to buy it type feeling, and you are always buying things kind of impulsively, develop a plan and commit someone to check in on you with it often. I would be happy to do that. My email's in the show notes. As always, I'd be happy to be someone's accountability partner if you need someone just to check in on you regularly and discuss some money tips and strategies with you and help you stay accountable to your plan. The next question is, what is the thing I'm okay spending a little extra money on? And this is an awesome point to talk about because everyone should have those things that they're okay spending money on. The thing my wife and I are okay with spending money on is trips and making sure that we're having a good time. And everyone has those things that are worth the extra cost. Are you maybe you love playing video games, so extra subscriptions are okay for you? Then that's fine. I think it's okay that everyone has one little area that they're okay with spending extra money on. And sometimes you don't always have to give up those things. But if it is something that maybe you're trying to strive towards a goal or progressing towards financial independence, maybe you do need to make small sacrifices in those areas. So that's why this is an interesting discussion point to have. For my wife right now, she loves brand name Lysol cleaning wipes, but we go with the Great Value ones right now because that's where our financial priorities are. We don't need to have name brand cleaning wipes. But if you like to travel, maybe you need to find local family getaways or locations that you can spend far less money instead of having some big extravagant vacation. You can still have memorable experiences on a cheaper budget. So make sure you identify that area that you're okay with spending extra money on, but also be willing to give a little bit there if you're trying to make savings goals and reach something like financial independence. So it's okay to have somewhere that you'd like to spend your money on. But let's wrap up today's episode next. So my conclusion is that impulse spending can be very bad for your financial health, especially if credit card debt is in the mix. It can be the real problem and be really damaging to your financial situation. You can control your spending with some simple but purposeful action steps, like the 24-hour rule, making sure to commit really hard to that so that you don't go past the 24-hour rule, making sure you're committing to a plan and committing to it with an accountability partner and checking in with them. But you can control your spending. But also, I want to share some exciting news. I'm revamping the website and I'm putting it on this podcast to commit myself to it. I want to do some fun things with it. I'm going to add more than just Money Talk to it. So it's just still SkylarFleming.com, and you can find the podcast at SkylarFleming.com/podcast or /Money Talk or /Money Talk with Skylar Fleming. You'll be able to find it and it'll be in the show notes. But I'm also going to add my wife and I's YouTube channel and some information about that on our website, and some other little side hobbies and side projects that I have going on. SkylarFleming.com is really just going to become like this all-encompassing place for my hobbies and what I'm doing, kind of like an overall blog and portfolio type thing of what's going on in my life. So I'm excited for that. I'm going to go do that right after I record this episode. So I'm really excited for the changes coming to the website. Make sure you're checking out the show notes as always. Contact me if you have any questions at all. I would love to cover them on the podcast. If you want to be on the podcast, I'd be happy to have you. And we can always discuss some of these money talking points that you might find interesting. But thank you for listening to Money Talk with Skylar Fleming. I'm your host, Skylar Fleming. Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Money Talk. The Money Talk show is provided for informational and entertainment purposes and should not be used for personal or specific financial advice. Every situation is unique and different. Please make sure to do your own research for your personal financial situation.